Over the last few years, I think I mentioned before that I work with a number of people who are in the professional sports world or were in the professional sports world. So professional sportsmen, coaches, and I've worked with them in a number of different ways. Some of them I've been teaching ex-professional sports people to trade. I've also worked in terms of data analysis in some sports with some people, in football, developing some scouting analysis as well. So I've been able to work with a number of professional people and get some insights as well into the world of professional sport as well. And it turns out that there are a number of similarities, and I've mentioned this in other podcasts and that I've been on before, similarities between professional sportsmen and professional traders. As with sport, in trading there are many amateurs. So, I would consider myself, for example, in golf to be an amateur golfer. As a poker player, I'm an amateur poker player. As a football coach, I'm an amateur football coach. As a football player, I'm an amateur football player, right? And it's pretty clear that I am an amateur in all those ways, particularly if you see me play football. In trading, there is also a difference between amateur traders and professional traders, and there is a big difference. And there are many people, the problem is there are many people who are in absolutely every way, the way they go about it, amateur traders, but they think they're going to become professional, but playing along the lines of as they are as an amateur, and it's not going to happen. So, but talking to the professional sportsman, there's one word that comes up a lot, a mindset, and I've used it when I'm teaching people to trade as well, if you want to become a professional trader. And it's really interesting that whether it's poker, golf, tennis, it doesn't matter what the sport is, there is a word that keeps coming up, which is a word that is used a lot, and it's the mindset of the majority of professionals. Now, of course, in every sport, there's going to be the absolute stars, right? In tennis, there'll be your Federers and Nadals. In golf, there's going to be your Tiger Woods, your Rory McIlroys, your Dustin Johnsons. There's always these amazing players, and to some degree, people when they're coaching are trying to get you up to that level and talk. They always talk about, what does Roger Federer do? What does Tiger Woods do? And you want to be like them, and that's understandable. And of course, we want to become the best we can. But the reality is, the majority of professional golfers are not that way. So same with tennis players, same with in a range of sports, and if you're a poker player, you can look at the World Series of Poker main event and see who won the millions of dollars. But the majority of poker players, professional poker players, day in, day out, are not doing that. The majority of professional golf players aren't. And we'd probably have to, if you're going into golf, you'd have to, while you're trying to become the best, you'll probably have to understand that you're more likely to be in that pack. So what is the word, the mindset that goes across all of these disciplines, and in my opinion also applies to trading? The word is grind. If you talk to professional poker players, they'll talk about they grind the tables. If you talk to professional golfers, people think, oh, golf, what a wonderful sport, and tennis, you're traveling around the world. But actually, you're grinding week in, week out, trying to make the cut in golf, trying to get to the next round, the second round, the third round in tennis. Obviously the further you go, the more likelihood you have of winning, and you can't win a tournament as a tennis player or a golfer if you don't get through the first couple of rounds, right? So that's fine, but you have to get those short-term goals to get to the long-term goals. And whilst a lot of traders are fixated on the long-term goal of becoming the best, they forget that you have to grind through the short term. Grind is a word that I think to many people has a negative connotation. They think, oh, that's a grind, in terms of, oh, that's awful, that's bad, I don't want to do it, it's a grind. But you know what, that's what trading's about. Day in, day out, we just grind. If you're a professional poker player, you're grinding the tables day in, day out. You're not sitting here making $1 million tomorrow. And too many traders think that something's going to happen and suddenly they're going to become, hugely successful traders. The reality is, for most of us, trading, we grind. We come in today, we make some money, we leave. We come in tomorrow, we make some money, we do the next day, and we grind. That's what we do. And you have to embrace it, okay? That's part of the hard work. You have to embrace that hard work, that grind. And I've found it really interesting that, professionals in a number of sports have mentioned the same word, grind. You go in there and you grind. You have to be prepared to put in the hard yards, put in the work. And if you keep working at it, then of course we all hope that we can become the best at what we do. Okay, we all hope we can become, if you're a tennis player, the next Nadal or Federer. But the reality is, okay, the reality is for most of them, they're not going to be that. Okay, and if they can grind out, then they're going to be fine. And those that come in with the mindset is, I want to be the best, and if I'm not the best, I'm really hugely deflated and disappointed. Well, you're not going to have a 10-year career with that kind of mindset, right, in tennis. But you can have a good career grinding in tennis. You can have a good career grinding as a golf player without even winning lots of tournaments, but just getting into the top 20, top 10, making through the cut. And it's the same in trading. And I think this is a mindset which is, as I say, I haven't heard people talk about in trading. I use it with my students when I'm teaching people to trade, for the scalping methods that I teach, because scalping is a grind. You come in there, you make your money, and you leave. You come in, you make your money, and you leave. That's what you're trying to do. And you know that with this style, you're not going to suddenly hit the big time and be able to retire tomorrow. And you're not trying to do that. You're more understanding of what the reality is, and the reality is you're going to grind this out. And I think too many retail traders come in thinking that something's going to happen where they're just going to crack it, in terms of, similarly, they're just going to like win the US Open or win, whether that's golf or tennis, or win the World Series of Poker. The reality is that's unlikely for the vast majority of players. What's more likely is is that you're going to be able, and you need to get that mindset of, I'm going to grind out week after week, and if I do that, I can become a decent player, or in this term trading, I can make a good living out of it and do well. I'm not saying to lower your expectations in terms of to try not to be the best. Of course, we're always trying that, but we all have different disciplines, we all have different attributes. Whether or not we can become that once in a generation, tennis player or trader in this case, we don't know. But you have to be prepared to grind, because that's the reality for most of us. Most of us are not here, making millions of dollars a week and then suddenly cracking it, and that's it. I'm done. I've hit the big time. And too many traders, amateur traders, are looking for that. So, in short, I think that word grind, if you view that with negative connotations, if you think grind means hard work and that's a bad thing, then you're going to struggle, in my opinion. And the industry doesn't want to portray that. Perhaps sometimes the industry wants to portray this as being, oh, it's easy and you just do a couple of trades a day and all that kind of stuff. But that's obviously not going to happen. You're going to go in there and you're going to need to grind, and you're actually going to have to embrace it. Okay, you're going to have to embrace that grind and enjoy it as much as you can, and understand that it's hard work, and that's the life of a professional trader. So hopefully, that this video will reset for some of you that mindset. And as I say, I think the word grind is something that goes across a number of different professional trades. So hopefully that will help you in your trading.